Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So the offseason is underway, but really nothing has happened. So I decided that I'm going to rip some hot takes of what I think is going to happen once shit actually starts to happen besides Burakovsky and Marchand trades. So we're going to go through them. I got 8 hot takes ranging from like, what the hell, Mike? There's 0% chance that's going to happen to like, probably unlikely, but maybe it could. It's definitely ranges based on the spiciness level. We're getting spicy today. So yeah, let's dive into it. Let's not waste any time. This is regarding anything in the offseason, draft, free agency, extensions, all that good stuff, trades. And up first, I have Rasmus Andersson going to the Tampa Bay Lightning. I don't know how Julien Brisebois does this, but after losing yet again to the Florida Panthers in 5 games, and today especially, Nick Perbix, they just announced that they're not going to be offering him a contract. He's going to be hitting the open market. He's a right-handed defenseman. Rasmus Andersson's a right-handed defenseman. Rasmus Andersson only makes $4.55 million next season. Tampa has $3.4 million right now. If they get rid of Connor Sheary or buy him out, they would have enough to fit Rasmus Andersson, and an extension could be feasible considering the fact that McDonough only has one more year at $6.75 million, so he just kind of takes that cap hit. It'd probably be a little bit more. But yeah, could there potentially be a trade of Connor Geekie, who's from Central Canada, from Winnipeg? So that's not that local, but you know what I mean with Calgary. They want their more so Canadian guys and a bunch of picks for Rasmus Andersson. Could that potentially work? When looking at the Tampa Bay Lightning right now under contract, they only have Eric Chernak and Darren Radish, right? Or is it Taylor Radish? One of the Radishes, whichever one's on Tampa Bay. Under contract right now, he would immediately become the number 1 right-handed defenseman. Him and McDonough pair, I think, would be awesome. And yeah, Tampa needs to be aggressive. And Rasmus Andersson perfectly fits in kind of age-wise with guys like Hagel and Point. I love that potential. Obviously, like the more safer option is something like Buffalo, where they badly need right-handed defenseman. But I'm swinging for the fences. I'm coming out swinging. And I'm saying the Tampa Bay Lightning for Rasmus Andersson. Next up, John Tavares goes to Utah. Apparently, the two sides are not seeing eye to eye in Toronto right now. A 3-year deal at $4 million was the recent report. And rightfully so, Tavares is like, no, I put up, like 75 points last year. I am not going to take that much of a discount. Treliving's probably saying, we're getting rid of Marner. Tavares, unless you take a severe discount, you're also gone. We really need to change up the culture in Toronto. So maybe John Tavares just says, screw it. I want to move on. I want to get more of a bag, although he did get a fat bag from Toronto initially they didn't really live up to. But I think for Utah, if he hits the open market, that is the perfect fit, especially if Utah keeps that 4th overall pick, potentially, or just moves back to select the Brady Martin, who's not going to be ready for like 3 to 4 years till he's an impact guy. You bring in John Tavares on some 4-year deal at $5.56 million. He might honestly be the number 1 center next year ahead of Logan Cooley, but definitely the number 2 for multiple years. And if they picked up John Tavares and they were able to slide Barrett Hayden, who I like as a player, but definitely is more of a 3rd-line center, I think Utah is likely to make the playoffs over St. Louis, who made it after an amazing stretch towards the end there. But yeah, I think Utah taking a swing. And when looking at the personality of John Tavares, does anybody scream Salt Lake City more than John Tavares? I think it would be a good fit for both of them. It would make a lot of sense. Next up, Keandre Miller to the San Jose Sharks. I said this on the podcast. If you're a podcast listener, you've heard this before, but I think that Mike Grier still has that IOU from Chris Drury, from the fact that he, for some reason, waiver claimed Barclay Goodrow's 3 years at $3.66 million, and he cashes it in on Keandre Miller, who's 25 years old. Yes, he's a little bit older than some of their young guys within the core, but their core is Celebrini through Ekblad right now, and whoever they selected 2nd overall. It's not some huge gap. You get Keandre Miller, potentially for Mario Ferraro for the New York Rangers. They pick up Ferraro, who's only making $3.25 million, and they move off the money that they were going to give Keandre Miller. Then they can go out, get a Gavrikov, and kind of retool their defense core based on that. And for San Jose, Keandre Miller just needs to be your number 3 of the future. You give him like a 6x6 and just let him grow into it. And I think right off the rip, he'd be a very effective defenseman for them. I think it would make sense in terms of the two. Well, it would more make sense for the San Jose Sharks, but cashing in on that IOU because Chris Drury cannot get away with all these dumps for absolutely nothing. It's ridiculous how that happened, as well as, of course, with Anaheim. Next up, Brad Marchand to the New Jersey Devils is also one. If you follow me on TikTok, you probably saw this. I think it's going to happen. I think it could potentially happen. I'll put it there. Not 100% going to happen. But we're looking at the fact that the New Jersey Devils are clearing out money right now. Eric Halla got dumped, $3 million. They're at $14.3 million now. With only Luke Hughes to sign this offseason, they're going to have around $9 million. They went after Jonathan Marchessault last year, another Marsh that is kind of an undersized guy, but an absolute dog come playoff time. It makes a lot of sense in the world, especially with how disappointing Timo Meier has been at $8.8 million. Brad Marchand potentially to the New York Jersey Devils. I know that would give them a pretty short forward core of guys like Hughes and Bratt, but Brad Marchand don't play like he's 5'9". He's an absolute tank. So yeah, I think in terms of bringing in leadership, and Marchand could get a 4-year bag at $8.5 million and still actually have a chance at winning compared to going to some random team. Makes all the sense in the world. That's where I predict Marchand right now. Next up, James Hagens will be a New York Islander. I have seen the future. Not at first overall. Not selected at first overall, but I think something is going to happen potentially with Utah. I know I just mentioned with John Tavares, then potentially selecting at 4th overall. Potentially, a Dobson package could make a lot of sense for the Utah Hockey Club for that 4th overall pick, whether it's Boston that they're in talks with, JGP and something else, like a lot of prospects and picks, or like another solid roster player, potentially for 7th overall. I think it's going to happen. I think Darce knows that this fan base badly wants this, and he would get so much goodwill built up within the fan base by doing this, and ownership wants it because if James Hagens pans out, the marketing that they could have having the hometown kid that grew up an Islanders fan. Oh my God, I was going to say the others like Adam Fox and Charlie McAvoy grew up Ranger fans. Hagens is one of us, even though I didn't grow up on Long Island, but he's one of us. And we're bringing him home, and it's going to happen. I don't know exactly how yet, but there's a bunch of rumored packages that are going on right now, and I think he's going to be an Islander when it's all said and done. Next up, nobody from the 2023 top 3 is going to sign an extension. I don't know how hot this is, but yeah, I don't think that these guys are going to lock up long-term. You look at last offseason, Slafkovsky, July 1st, signed that 8-year deal at $7.6 million. Usually that does happen with these guys, with these high picks that are supposed to be their franchise players. They get them locked up. I just don't really see that. I think Fantilli might, because he had 31 goals. I think he might just say, like, give me the Jack Hughes 8x8 or something like that, and let's call it a day. But Bedard, I would not sign this summer if I was him, especially considering after his sophomore season, which wasn't really his fault. The team just didn't improve that much. They didn't bring in a lot of talent besides Bertuzzi and Teravainen. But this summer, if they bring in some kind of stud winger for him to play with, he should definitely play out at least the start of the year. And if he's having a great start, because right now he'd probably only get like an 8-year deal at $9.5, maybe $10 million. If he goes for 90 points, it easily could be $12 million to come the winter, even not even next season, next off season. But yeah, and then Carlson in Anaheim after 2 seasons under Greg Cronin just completely kind of tanked offensively. The overall team tanked offensively, not him, but he only put up around 45-point pace. You come in, you let Quenneville kind of play more of a free-flowing game, and hopefully you break out and go for 60-ish points and then cash in on some kind of 8x8, 8x8.5, because right now I'm not sure a long-term deal would be that much money. So yeah, I don't think these 2023 guys should kind of force a deal compared to some prior guys that hit the ground running immediately and then just said, I'll sign dotted line here. I think they're going to play it. They're going to play it smart and kind of head into next season, where I do think that they are going to have monster seasons, because their monster seasons have not exactly come quite yet outside of kind of Fantilli. Next up, Porter Martone does not go in the top 10. When looking at it, I do like Martone a decent amount. I am not here to say that he's a bad prospect. His skating's horrendous. None of that. I think he's going to be a very good NHLer. But I think when you look at the board, the top 3 is looking like Schaefer. Now like Frundell might go second, but it's going to be Misa and Frundell most likely 2 and 3 in one of those orders. And then you have Utah, Nashville, Philly, Boston. All kind of need centers. So I think as a result, Martin, Denoyer, O'Brien, Hagens go there. And then at 8th, Seattle could go Martone. They could just love him so much more than any other defenseman, but they do badly need defenseman prospects, as we've talked about so much on this goddamn page. Take a shot every time I say that. But yeah, as a result, I could see him be there for Buffalo. Should be ecstatic if they get Porter Martone at 9th overall. But I could see it happening, and I guess that's what I probably would. I'm going to have my updated mock, and it easily could switch in 2 to 3 days when more information comes out. But I think it's decently possible. I put this at like 25% at this point, just because he is a winger. Again, the talent is definitely there, but the teams, the needs, as long as they don't have Porter Martone so high up on their board, I think that they will maybe opt for a center compared to Porter Martone. And then lastly, Aaron Ekblad goes to the Carolina Hurricanes. It looks like Sam Bennett is the guy that is for sure going to be staying in Florida. And considering the fact that Bennett had that legendary INF and leaving at 11, the nightclub in Miami, great place. Ekblad, on the other hand, he gave some like emotional speech. So I think he's gone. And I think if Carolina can't get Bennett, they might just overpay to get Aaron Ekblad, because in terms of a top pair right-handed defenseman on the market, you could take on Erik Karlsson for at fully $10 million or get some retention enough to give up assets. I floated some kind of Evan Bouchard offer sheet idea out there, but I think the Oilers would find a way to match. there's just not a lot of right-handed offensive defensemen out there this summer, and I think Tulski might. Apparently, a lot of guys don't want to go to Carolina. Like Marner, Ehlers, there's not a lot of smoke them going to Carolina. So maybe he just overpays a crap ton and gives him a 7-year deal at 8.5, 8.75. It'd be gross, don't get me wrong, but he needs to do something, and especially at that top right-handed defenseman position, because Brett Burns not nearly good enough to play in that role for an actual contender. So although, yeah, I wouldn't be supportive of this, I think there's a decent chance it happens just because the supply is not really there, but the demand for an Aaron Ekblad is going to be there. And as a result, I could see him going to Carolina. So let's rip through it again. Andersson to the Tampa Bay Lightning. John Tavares to Mormon Country. Keandre Miller to the San Jose Sharks. Marchand to the Devils. Hagens is coming home, baby. The 2023 guys do not sign extensions. Aaron Ekblad to the Carolina Hurricanes. And Porter Martone not top 8. Let me know in the comments, what do you think about this? What are your hot takes? I'll be seeing the next one. Peace.